Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Preserving History and Democracy podcast. My name is Caroline Zamora, and I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk. I'm joined today by our Communications Coordinator, Cynthia Mendoza. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's go time.
It's go time. We are, we're like knee deep in election.
We're in the thick of it,
We're
for
in
sure.
Yes. We're like, I feel like Election Day is midpoint.
Yeah.
Because we have months of planning.
Right.
That happens before the election.
Mm-hmm.
After the election, we have the canvas.
It's still not over.
Yeah, it's not over. It's not over for a few months for us.
Yeah.
So after election, we have the canvas, the audit, the county certification, and then the state certification.
Right.
So election's not going to be over for us till the end of December.
I love it.
I know. And so like I feel like we're not even halfway. We're not even at the halfway point yet.
No, I think people think, and before I worked here, I assumed, okay, well, maybe preparation happens a few weeks before, maybe a month before. No,
Nope.
We're doing this months in advance and months afterwards. So
yeah.
It's a crazy time, but I love it.
Yes. So this is our we think it's our last update before Election Day,
Right.
but we might do one between now and then.
Yeah,
So
we'll
we might.
definitely do a recap.
So this might be the last election update you get on the podcast, but we might do some other updates throughout between now and Election Day. So we wanted to go ahead and just send some reminders,
Right.
give folks some numbers. So here in Doña Ana County, we've already hit close to 45,000 early votes.
Yeah.
We've hit more than 40,000 in-person early votes.
Mm-hmm.
We've processed almost 12,000 absentee applications.
Yeah.
And over 700 folks have utilized same-day registration.
Which is awesome.
We had a great post about this yesterday,
Yeah.
kind of describing what you need for same-day registration. So we'll go ahead and talk about that real quick. If you need to update your address or you need to register, luckily here in the state of New Mexico, we do have same-day registration, and you have two options. Option A is you bring in a government-issued ID, and that can be like out of state, so maybe you just moved to New Mexico, but a government-issued ID with your old address and a proof of residence, a piece of mail like your utility bill or maybe a bank statement, a rental agreement, and your social security number.
Right.
Option B is you bring in your New Mexico real ID that has your new address on it and your social security number. So those are the two options that you have. If you're a New Mexico State University student and you need that proof of residency form, go ahead and visit Campus Housing and they'll get you that form.
Awesome. It's a great tool. So we do want to remind people about the last day of early voting, and that happens on Saturday, November 2nd. So this Saturday is the last day to early vote if you choose to do so. And those locations include 9 locations across Doña Ana. Of course, the Government Center will be open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. And the last day to vote early on November 2nd will happen from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we also have a few other locations across Doña Ana that are open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That includes the Anthony Public Library, the Chaparral Doña Ana Community College, the Hatch Valley Public Schools Student Services Training Center, the Corbett Center Student Union, Doña Ana Community College East Mesa Campus, Las Cruces City Hall, Mesilla Town Hall, and Doña Ana Community College in Sunland Park. So those are the last locations that are open for early voting. But of course, we have Election Day and 42 locations open then.
Yeah, 42 sites on Election Day. So really lots of opportunities for you to get out there and vote. We do have, of course, those non-traditional hours, which are really important, like the 11 to 7, the 10 to 6. Right. And then all the locations. If you still haven't returned your absentee ballot, yesterday is the guidance that we received from the U.S. Postal Service plus the Secretary of State's office. So yesterday you really wanted to get your absentee ballot back in the mail.
Right.
To make sure that it gets back to our office. But if you didn't, you can still drop it off at the 9 secured containers that we have throughout the county. Right. And you can see those lists on our website, dacelections.com. You can also drop those off at any of the voting locations, early voting or election day locations, or you can drop them off at our office. They have to be back to us by 7 p.m. on election night. Right. Okay, so it has to be in the drop box at a voting location or in our office by 7 p.m. on election night.
Right.
So get those absentee ballots back to us. Let's go ahead and run through some common questions that we hear and that we get questions about. And one of those is, do you need an ID to vote? Now, I feel like folks confuse this. You need your ID to register.
Yes.
But you do not need your ID to vote.
Right. So that was already our I guess, certification of who you are. When we ask you to register, we ask for your ID or your social security number so we can verify it's you. So when you go actually go vote, then no, we don't need your ID that time.
Yep. So you can walk in and you don't need your ID to vote. They're going to ask you to verify who you are by a few questions. One of those is your first and last name, your address, and the last 4 of your birth date.
Yeah.
The year of your birthday.
Right.
The year of your birthday.
That's all they asked whenever I went on.
Yes.
I went on Tuesday to go vote, and they just asked my name, told them my name, they asked for my address, gave them my address, last 4 of my year of birth, gave them that, and that was so easy. It was so fast.
Agree. A lot of folks do like to bring their ID and they just hand it to them, and that is totally acceptable, but you do not have to have one to vote.
Right.
Remember, you do need your ID to register, a government issued ID to register, but you do not need your ID to vote. Another question, and we already talked about same day registration, so I'm going to skip through that one. Another kind of myth that we've heard and that we've addressed on our social media account is the pens. The pens. Oh my gosh, the pens. So you may have heard this myth, this rumor, this lie that is misinformation out there that the pens that we provide bleed through.
Yeah.
This is a myth. It is not true. The pens that we use have been tested. And also, if for some reason they do bleed through, it's still, the tabulator is still going to count your vote.
Right.
And so you're welcome to bring your own pen if you like, or you can use the pens that we have there.
Yeah.
And so the pens, oh my gosh. But we've addressed that on our social media. So I want to encourage you to follow our social media, where we also address other misinformation, malinformation, disinformation. We talked about where you can drop off your absentee ballot. Let's talk about what's going to happen election night, because we have some new things in place.
Absolutely.
Some new law in place. We did post this also again on our social media account. And it was a post that we reshared the Secretary of State's office post talking about what's going to happen on election night. So at 7:00, the polls close. That's when all the election officials at all the sites start working and to make sure that all the ballots, cards, and things like that get back to our office. And then at our warehouse is where we start reading the cards and transmitting securely to the Secretary of State's office.
Right.
At 11:00, the absentee board. Now, the absentee board are the ones who are opening the absentee ballots. And again, we've received about 12,000. And so there's a lot that they're going to be going through. And so at 11:00, the absentee board's going to go home, and that's state law.
Right.
So at 11:00, they're going to pause the counting. They're going to go home and get some rest, and they're going to resume counting the next day at 9:30.
Right.
And so it is very likely, again, I cannot predict the future, but it is very likely that absentee will not be done that night.
Right.
That at 11, we're going to pause counting. They're going to go home and get some rest, and then they're going to get started the next day.
Absolutely. I think it's important they do. It's been a long day for them already. So for them to work through the middle of the night is not a very smart idea. We want accurate results. So we're going to go ahead and do what we need to do to make sure that happens.
Absolutely. And this is true for the entire state. It is state law. So the other big counties, the other big 5, Sandoval, San Juan, Santa Fe, and of course Bernalillo are also going to be sending folks home at 11. I think the smaller counties, I can't speak for them, but I think the smaller counties will. Either way, everyone's going to be going home at 11. The all absentee boards, it is state law. So
which is good. You know, one thing I hear a lot too, I did a communications kind of workshop last week online, and they say a lot, like sometimes the media will call a race for certain states and stuff, but that is just their projection. So we need to make it clear that our responsibility is to count every single vote that we receive that's eligible. So so you can hear from the media, this person won, but our job is to count every ballot. So,
Yes.
And that sometimes that ends at 11 for the day, but it'll resume again the next day.
Yeah.
So.
And so also I want to remind folks that all the results are unofficial until state certification.
Exactly.
And so to remind folks what happens after the election, we have a canvass, which is basically a big reconciliation. We do the county canvass, and then we have the state canvass.
Yeah.
So the state is also going to do their own canvass.
Yeah.
So 2 times things will get canvassed. And then we also have the audit, which is a randomized audit. And then there's the county certification.
Right.
And then the state certification.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that have to happen before any of the results are actually official.
Exactly. So that usually happens, like you
Mid-December.
said, in December. Yeah. So it's going to take a while. All those results are unofficial until all the T's have been crossed and the I's have been dotted. So it's what needs to happen.
Yeah. Another thing that we want to talk about is that we, again, has been hearing this misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, is that people know who you voted for.
No.
And I want to tell you, we don't know who you voted for. No. There's a reason that ballots are secret, because that is one of the cornerstones of democracy, the secrecy of the ballot. So when you go to vote, you get 2 things. One, you get your permit. Your permit has your name, your address,
and just the record that you did vote. That you
exactly, a record that you voted at that location.
Exactly.
And so that's one piece of paper. Then you get your other piece of paper, and that is your ballot. Your ballot does not have any identifying information on it.
Yeah.
And so no one knows who you voted for. I don't know who you voted for. No one knows who you voted for. Secrecy of the ballot is very important to us and to democracy. Yeah. And so we don't know who you voted for.
I also wanted to touch on, since we did touch on absentee applications, so those were due on the 22nd. So unfortunately, it's too late if you didn't apply for one already. But for those who are federal or overseas voters, you do have one last opportunity to apply for your absentee ballot. And that is on Saturday, November 2nd. So you must apply at fvap.gov for that.
I want to go ahead and talk about this wonderful resource that the Secretary of State's office and the New Mexico Department of Justice put out. It's called, we've posted this on our website already. We'll go ahead and post the link again, but it's called the Voter Information Resource Guide. And this is really a great guide for folks. It, of course, has all the important information like dates, locations, everything regarding mail-in, absentee, voting in person. It also has information about what is and is not allowed at a polling location. And I feel like this is really important because we've seen, because people are very impassioned, and we've seen some behavior that's not allowed at voting locations. We want to remind folks that intimidation of an election official, intimidation of voters, is not acceptable and is against the law. It is a felony. Again, intimidation of other voters or election officials is not acceptable. But this resource guide also goes through, what an unauthorized individual is.
Right.
If you're not there to vote, you're not an authorized person to be in a voting location.
You can't just be bugging people who are in line to go vote.
Again, it also goes through what is electioneering. Electioneering is not permitted within 100 feet of a voting location. Electioneering includes the display or distribution of signs or campaign literature, campaign buttons, t-shirts, hats, pins, and other such items, and includes verbal or electronic solicitation of votes for a candidate or a question. Okay, so that is considered electioneering, and it is not permissible but within 100 feet of a polling location or secured drop box.
Right.
So all that 100-foot mark is going to be marked at every voting location. If you're wearing a hat or a shirt or something along those lines with any candidate's name, the presiding judge will ask you to remove the article of closing. Maybe go put it in your vehicle,
or even just turn
your shirt inside out.
Yeah.
So that you're able to vote.
Right.
But again, no electioneering within 100 feet of a polling location or a secured drop box. Anything else that you think we should remind folks about?
I just want to remind everybody about the websites again. If you want to check on your registration and all that, that's nmvote.org. You can also check your sample ballot before you hit the polls at nmvote.org. DAC Elections is where you can check all of our locations, get that great resource guide that you just talked about. That's on there as well. And just a lot of great information on DAC Elections.com.
We also posted on that page on DACelections.com on the voter information page.
Right.
We also posted the Secretary of State's website published the voter guides, and those guides have the constitutional amendments, like all the statewide information. So the constitutional amendments, the GEO bonds, again, statewide GEO bonds. And so if you want to get more information about that, you can go onto our website. There are some printed versions at all the sites, but there's not a lot.
So,
and so it's, so we have those posted on our website if you want to check those out. Again, that voter resource information guide is there. We have so much information on our website, so go ahead and check it out. All the sites, we have a great interactive map. So if you want to see all the sites, you can see the early voting sites. You can see the day of election day sites. Before we sign off, I want to remind folks that they can vote at any location in Doña Ana County. We have a ballot on demand system, which means we do not have any pre-printed ballots.
Right.
So you can live in Hatch and vote in Las Cruces. When you show up to vote in Las Cruces, you give them your name, your address, your year of birth, and your specific ballot face that is for the area that you live, that's specific to your address, gets printed.
I know there's some states that, you have to go to your precinct to go vote, and not here in Doña Ana. You can go anywhere in Doña Ana to go vote. So it's really convenient. You don't have to drive across town to go vote.
Yeah. So when you come to vote at the government center and the line is wrapped around, going, snaking its way through the chambers and then out the side door here in the building, and you see this really long line, there's probably a location nearby that doesn't even have a wait, like Fair Acres or maybe Mesilla or East Picacho. And so that is another option for you. Some of the more traffic sites that we've seen during early voting have been Las Cruces City Hall and East Mesa. East Mesa, I think, has been the highest traffic, second to the government center. But East Mesa has seen a lot of voters out there. And also Corbett is usually a pretty busy site also. Yeah. And so again, there's 42 sites throughout the county. I used to like voting in Oregon.
Yeah?
Yeah. So my mom lives up on the East Mesa and so Little Oregon, up like going up Highway 70 over the mountains. Like I was in and out there in 2 minutes. There was no line. I walked in. I was the only one there. I was the only voter there. It was so fast to get in and out of that location. Yeah.
I don't think people are aware that there's so many locations, which is why we try to do this and tell you, hey, there's 42 locations across Doña Ana, but hey, check out dacelections.com and you'll find plenty of voting locations.
Yes. Okay, folks, that's all we have for you today. Be sure to get out there and vote. If you have any questions, you can call our office at 647-7428. You can send us an email, elections@donianacounty.org. Also, you can visit our website, dacelections.com.
And check our social media sites. We're trying to put as much information as possible. We're flooding those social
election
media
night,
sites.
we are very active on election night. If you want to know like which sites are in and get all the updates, we're very active on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter or X on election night.
And even TikTok. So follow us
right.
on
We are
everything.
on the TikTok. I forgot.
We've been posting a little bit more on there.
Yay.
So more TikTok.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia, for joining me today. We might post another update before election day. We'll see about that, but be sure to get out there and vote. Happy voting.